We've generated an automatic plant schedule for this design, but if you swing to the layout, which was built, you may remember, in the template, there's no sign of that plant schedule. We could adjust our magnification view inside that floating viewport, but we have an opportunity over here on the right-hand side to put that plant schedule. To do that, you need to create a new floating viewport. So we say add a viewport, and it's just a matter of drawing a rectangle, and that rectangle provides another view into modelspace. So if we double click on it and adjust the size of that cyan border, I'll zoom in a little. I can make it a bit smaller. I think it's a good habit. You should practice getting in as tightly as you can, and then display that on the layout, and then right click and deactivate it. There's the plant schedule sitting inside its own floating viewport. Let's return to the model, and what happens if we add some extra planting? The symbol through here represents a Bismarkii nobilis, which is in fact a palm, and I think it's inappropriate for that area through there. We can deal with that in a number of ways, but for the moment, let's leave it as is. We put it in very small, so I guess what we ought to do is rename it and give it another name, Anthurium, rather than give it a botanical name, but I digress. I'll show how to do that in a later video. What I want to illustrate at the moment is if we copied that and pasted some extra copies and tucked them in, we had maybe whatever that was, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, let's have a look over here. We had nine copies of that group in the plant schedule. If we now go gCADPlus and plant schedule and update the schedule, we should see more than 9 in the schedule. So the extra 3 have now been added. So clearly that's a big advantage. You can go over the whole design, adding and subtracting plants to your design, and then running an update on the plant schedule, and things will improve. Let's deal with that problem of how you might deal with this. It's a block called Bismarkii nobilis. We want it to be called Anthurium. So if you go into the blocks command here, and we've got it highlighted, we can rename it. And we need to call it Anthurium and OK it. I've had caps lock on, but leave it as is. And then we close. So now whenever we click on it, it will say Anthurium. It's a fairly minor point, but we started with a block that was supposedly representing a particular plant, and now we changed the name of the block. So I'm happier with that as a process. So we've covered a couple of areas. How do you show a plant schedule on a layout sheet? What we've not done is set the drawing color of the border of the floating viewport. You can make it invisible by clicking here and making the color of that border color 255. And if I come out here and unselect all, now that border has disappeared. If we pick this one and made it color 255 instead of 254, now when we zoom extents on the sheet, we see a nicely laid out sheet. There is our plant schedule and our design sitting in here. So we've got a lot to do to finish off our design. We need to put the planting in for the slope. This fence here is much higher up than the flat area here. The retaining wall running through there is holding the earthworks back. So we need to plant that slope, and we've got all this area over here to plant up as well. But the principles are the same. You simply take species, put them in position, assign a species name to them, and then you can run your plant schedule.